Welcome to this week's edition of Morning Line, the USTA's weekly news magazine. I'm Paul Ramlow.
And I'm Allison Conte.
Papagayo E and driver Ulf Olsen snuck up the rail to overtake Creatine in the final strides of the $1 million Yonkers International Trot at Yonkers Raceway this past Saturday afternoon in a time of 2:26 for the 1 1/4 mile race. The margin of victory was a half length. Tomoko, representing France and driven by Bjorn Goop, was second, and Creatine of the United States, with Johnny Tactor up, was third. The even money favorite, the Canadian mare Be a Magician, with Brian Sears in the sulky, finished sixth. Be a Magician made a three-wide move in the final turn, but was unable to sustain her bid. It was the first ever win in the international trot for Norway. The United States has won 13, with France right behind with 12.
Entries for the $5.8 million Breeders' Crown event saw 151 trotters and pacers fill the entry box to qualify for the 12-race October 24th finals. There were 62-year-olds entered, forcing $20,000 eliminations in all divisions for Friday. The Saturday card features a pair of $35,000 eliminations in the open pace, along with a pair of $25,000 eliminations in both the 3-year-old colt pace and the 3-year-old filly pace. Eliminations will not be required for the 3-year-old colt trot, the 3-year-old filly trot, the mare pace, the mare trot, and the open trot. There's been a ton of speculation surrounding Indiana hero Freaky Feet Pete this year. He's kept only to Indiana, remaining undefeated except for 2 occasions, those defeats coming at the hands of Grand Circuit Glamour Boys Wakizashi Hanover and Wiggle It Jiggleit. But then there was a thriller on Saturday night at Hoosier Park when Freaky Feet Pete turned the tables on harness racing's #1 ranked horse, Wiggle It Jiggleit. Pacing home to the cheers of his hometown fans, Pete crossed the wire a length and a quarter ahead in 150-1. The win sealed the deal, and now harness fans will get to see Freaky Feet Pete go up against Grand Circuit regulars in the Breeders' Crown.
Oh, it's great in the world. I mean, they're both good horses. And it could have been around on the other way. He could have beat me too, so, you know, it just puts you on top of the world. A big thing, I guess. It means a lot for the prize.
Last weekend at the Red Mile, we watched last year's divisional champion pacing colt Artspeak burst back into the headlines with a 147-4 Tattersall's score over highly regarded Lost for Words. We spoke with trainer Tony Alagna, who has never stopped believing in how good Artspeak is, despite losing some of the year's biggest dances and facing a tough crop of 3-year-old pacers.
That's why I brought him into the gate late,
you know, you go back and look at his races, you know, he had a lot of reasons that, you know, he didn't get the job done, drawing the 10-hole in the North America Cup. You know, he had some excess cover one start, and really the only day that I wasn't happy with how he raced was the Meadowlands pace. He was just too far back that day, you know, it just didn't work out for him. But, you know, other than that, the horse has been racing a lot better than it looks on paper, and, you know, I'm glad he showed everybody that today.
Creatine and Be a Magician, who faced off against each other in the Yonkers International Trot, will battle again in the Breeders' Crown Open Trot. Creatine, like Freaky Feet Pete, paid a $62,500 supplemental fee to enter the Breeders' Crown. Owned by Big C Racing, Creatine has racked up an impressive $1.83 million in his 4-year career. Now trained by Jimmy Tactor and driven by his brother Johnny, Creatine will make his 3rd start in Breeders' Crown competition after finishing 2nd as a 3-year-old and 3rd in the 2014 Open Trot. The supplemental fee was necessary because the eligibility fees for 2015 had not been made.
I was really happy how he finished there, you know, but I think he might tie it up a little bit. I spoke to the people in Yonkers, and he might have had a little muscle cramp there, you know, so it's in the last turn I thought we were going to win it, you know. I mean, he had the race the way we were hoping he could get, but unfortunately I think he tied up a little bit.
Be a Magician, trained by Richard Nifty Norman, has won 41 of 62 lifetime races and earned $3.62 million. She was the Horse of the Year in both the U.S. and Canada in 2013 and is seeking to become the first mare since Moneymaker in 1998 to win the Breeders' Crown Open Trot.
But in the end, we kind of thought, well, you know, there's not a horse there that we haven't kind of beaten before. And we're going to go for twice as much money, so we thought we'd give the boys a shot. And then of course, you know, the draw got screwed around, which had us a little worried there for a minute, but it turned out fine, and I think we're in a pretty good spot the way everything turned out.
Joining Creatine and Be a Magician in the Open Trotter, past Breeders' Crown winner Intimidate, as well as Flanagan Memory, Gorell Hanover, Master of Law, and Resolve. The 6-year-old Intimidate won the 2012 Breeders' Crown for 3-year-old male trotters.
J.K. End of an Era heads into his Breeders' Crown Open Pace elimination off the heels of a victory in the Allraj Farm Pace at the Red Mile in 1:48.3.
He need to be raced a little bit back, I mean, Brett put in sometimes, a little bit in too much early action. And he's only 4-year-old, and it's tough for these 4-year-olds to do that, and really proud over his performance.
10 older trotting mares will head straight into the Breeders' Crown final next week. Highlighting the field are international star DeWan and 2014's Trotter of the Year, Shake It Carrie. DeWan continued her American domination in the Allraj Mare Trot, gliding to a 151-3 win over Harley Mama and Backs of Life. Obtaining her 5th win of the season, as well as her 3rd in 4 North American starts, DeWan paid $2.40 to win. She's owned by Stall Kenny 23, trained by Roger Wallman, and was driven to victory by David Miller.
Sweden hat trick.
It's not the temperature and not a track like last time when the mother get the record here, so and not enough hard horses. So I'm very, very satisfied with this race.
Overall, what do you think of her trip to the U.S. this year?
Fantastic, fantastic. It was much better than we can think.
With 13 Breeders' Crown eliminations this weekend, it was hard to narrow it down to one for this week's edition of Paul's Paddock Picks. But in looking over the entries, one race really jumped off the page for me, and that was one of the eliminations for the 2-year-old filly trot. Broadway Donna has been at the head of the class this year, unbeaten in 9 starts for owner Fashion Farms and trainer Jim Campbell. Among her wins are the Jim Doherty Memorial and the Pennsylvania Sire Stakes Final. I think she will make it 10 for 10 in her Crown a Limb, but it won't be easy. Celebrity Eventsy posted 2 impressive wins in Grand Circuit action down in Lexington and has won 4 of her past 5 starts. Her only loss in that stretch was a second in the Peaceful Way Final at Mohawk. Owned by Celebrity Farms and trained by Stefan Lind, I think Celebrity Eventsy will be right there at the wire and could pick up the top check if Broadway Donna falters. Also in this elimination is Haughty, another unbeaten filly from the Jimmy Takter stable. She enters the Breeders' Crown eliminations off an impressive 155 win in International Stallion Stake action at the Red Mile. Harness Racing's winningest driver, Dave Pallone, gets the call on the pride of owners Al Libfeld, Marvin Katz, and Sam Goldband. So in this highly competitive Breeders' Crown elimination, I'm going with Broadway Donna to win, Celebrity Eventsy to place, and Haughty to show.
This week's tweet of the week comes from Taryn Duffy. @Taryn19 tweeted, if World Cup was in one night and on a half-mile racetrack, it would be the equivalent of Saturday's $1 million International Trot. The revived edition of the International Trot was certainly one of the best races I saw all year. Thanks to all the connections who came for the race, and congratulations to Norway's Papagayo E and his connections. We hope to see you back next year. I may be jumping the gun with this week's sound off on social question, since we can pretty much agree that it all comes down to the Breeders' Crown, but I want to know who you think will be 2015's Horse of the Year. Does it matter that Wiggle It Jiggleit is skipping the crown, or did his incredible Little Brown Jug performance already seal the deal? Let us know on Facebook and Twitter for a chance to win some USTA prizes.
That'll do it for this week's edition of Morning Line. Thanks for joining us, and tune in next week for all your behind-the-scenes harness racing action,
including a look ahead to the 12 Breeders' Crown finals at Woodbine. We'll see you next week on The Morning Line.